She has throat issues. Which number? 207. Now we're going to stand.
Praise for all discovery.
Invite Craig Stiles to come forward and light our chalice. And all please join with us in lighting our chalice by saying the chalice lighting words printed in your order of service and shared online in the chat. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, for the light of truth, and for the energy of action. Thank you, Craig. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Ogden. My name's Marilyn Johnson, and I'm glad to be your worship leader today. On the third Sunday of the month, we hear from an inspiring person who speaks truth to the times we are living in and offers inspiration for the work of UUs and liberal religion. We are very pleased to have the Reverend Dr. Samantha Wilson with us today. Reverend Wilson is a Unitarian minister, community psychologist, and a restorative practitioner. She works as a UUA conflict engagement coach and a restorative practitioner in private practice, partnering directly with congregations and communities to navigate misconduct, conflict, and harm in crisis, as well as through short-term and multi-year processes. We are so glad you are here with us. Reverend Wilson, welcome. We're glad that all of you are here too, today in this community where we strive to be loving, inclusive, and compassionate. One way to connect with this community is to let us know you're here. If you're a newcomer, welcome. We're so glad you're here. We encourage you to fill out a newcomer card in the back of the pews and put it in the offering basket when it comes by later on. Please stay and chat with us after the service in the room across the hall. If you're joining us online, please fill out a newcomer card online. And if you're a member of this congregation, we encourage you to wear your name tag. This helps everyone feel more connected and helps our newcomers get to know us more easily. We love having people of all ages in this community. As you came in, we hope you noticed the basket of activities for hands that like to stay busy. This is for all of you of any age. We welcome all the wiggles and sounds of a multi-generational community. If you haven't already, please put your phones on worship mode. We're so glad each and every one of you is here. Welcome. Opening words this morning are a poem by Rosemary Watala Tromer, The Way It Is. Over and over we break open. We break and we break and we open. For a while we try to fix the vessel, as if to be broken is bad, as if with glue and tape and a steady hand we might bring things to perfect again, as if they were ever perfect, as if to be broken is not also perfect, as if to be open is not the path toward joy. The vase that's been shattered and cracked will never hold water. Eventually it will leak. And at some point, perhaps, we decide that we're done with picking our flowers anyway, and no longer need a place to contain them. We watch them grow just as wildflowers do, unfenced, unmanaged, blossoming only when they're ready. And my God, how beautiful they are amidst the mounting pile of shards.
Please join us in singing from the Gray Hymnal, hymn number 118, This Little Light of Mine.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm so grateful to be with you all today. I feel a special gratitude as I'm watching you shuffle and move. I'm going to keep giving you gratitudes as you get to seat. I feel so grateful to be with you again after the ordination of Reverend Kristen Famula in Albuquerque. It was sweet to do that with you. I'm grateful to see some heads I remember from a game table in Tucson, Arizona. I see you. If you raise your hands, I'll see you again. Oh yeah, we played games together. I'm so grateful that the Unitarian Universalist world is so tiny and and it's also troubling sometimes that it's so tiny. But I'm so grateful it's tiny that we're so connected and that we're connected in uh, all these ways that are both sitting at a game table where we are exchanging stories of our lives to the weird pixelated screens of me here in Oakland, California, and you there in Ogden, Utah. So I come to you with a spirit of gratitude. And I come to you today with a big story. I want to tell you a story. And I want to tell you a story that'll sound slightly familiar. And then I want to stop in the middle of it and decide what we should do. Because the story might sound very familiar. And I want to invite us to listen to it as if it were a dream, as if it were a dream. And I used to sit around, I'm a lifelong Unitarian Universalist, and my mom gratefully found a congregation in Riverside, California, when I was about 2 years old. And I used to sit around the table at the local coffee shop while the women's group all sat there telling each other dream stories. And I would take my time between their legs at the coffee shop with my hot chocolate, listening to these Unitarian Universalist women tell dreams to each other. And the thing I remember from doing that and later on in my own dream tending work is that every part of a dream is part of you, right? So every little piece of the dream is some aspect of your own being that you get to learn from and be with, including the crunchy, villainous parts. So I want to invite each of us to hear this slightly familiar big message, hearing for all the ways that we're all the parts of it. So once upon a time, there was a garden named Eden. And inside this garden lived a woman named Eve. And Eve loved that garden. She knew all the pathways and the waterways and the best stones for building cairns, in the water. And she knew the water. She knew the way that lavender smelled in her fingertips, and she loved the smell of lemon balm. And one of her best friends in the whole wide world was Snake, and she and Snake would just spend hours together. And the beauty of Snake, of course, is that they could just see something from a different perspective, right? They could spend hours walking and talking, and Snake would wrap up around her, ankle, and it was warm, it'd eat in sunshine, and Snake is good with questions. They have the kind of wisdom that comes from someone who has to shed skin regularly and lives with their belly to the ground. Now, Snake, because of that deep knowing, always knew something was funky about this goddamn garden. This garden was a walled space. It's the kind of wall that maybe at one point was a boundary, good fences, good neighbors, but maybe now it was more like a border. And Snake could feel it. And Eve would also notice kind of the glimmer of, what was that? Was it barbed wire or broken glass at the very top of the wall? And one day, as they moved along the perimeter of the garden's tall walls, they inquired with the angels at the security gate checkpoint. And they asked the angels, what's beyond this wall? What might we see? What might we know? And the angels demurred. Oh, never you mind that. You have everything you need right here. Everything is perfect. God has created the perfect place for you. God has given you all you need. What is beyond the gate does not concern you, nor is it necessary to know. Go back. Enjoy yourselves. Now, God, by some definitions, is a steward of this garden, but maybe by others, they're the landlord, and maybe by others, they're the warden. And perhaps all three are true at once. But now, inevitably, Eve and Snake are very curious. There's something undeniable here that cannot be resisted, something that refuses infantilization. So they wonder, what should we do? Who should we ask? Who is the wisest in the garden? They wonder, both realizing the answer at the same time. The trees. Of course, the trees know what we should do. So they move along that pathway, the stream, the lavender, the lemon balm, the rock altars, and they run into their comrade Adam along the way. And they say, Adam, join us. Adam has a different relationship with God. So they're feeling a little uncertain, but everything in Snake and Eve's movement and the glimmer in their eyes and the testimony in their voices, there's something there that is trustworthy. So Adam, bless them, not fully understanding nor fully comfortable with the arrangement, decides to go with them. Now, the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil are very magnificent elder trees. They are the only ones in the garden with deep, knotted roots, and in their branches are the holes and markings from birds nesting and gathering over time. And God doted on these trees, tending them meticulously. And over time, as trees do, and the branches would begin to fall and change, Eve and Adam and Snake would notice that God would just carefully go over there and scaffold it back up, prop those trees back up, and as the leaves began to crumble or change color or die, God diligently would rake them up and disappear the evidence of all changes, because these were the trees of life, not the trees of death after all. They must look presentable. But they approached these two trees and wondered out loud, which one should we choose? Let us eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Are you sure? Adam asks. Nope, Eve replies. Are you sure we shouldn't? Eve asks. Nope, Adam responds. May it be so, the snake says. So just as Snake offers that blessing, the trees lean in. They're stretching their scaffolding. They're like great grandparents at a rite of passage, knowing communal struggle is necessary. And they bite. Now, having leaned and leaned and leaned over, having begged to be eaten, the trees begin to collapse. The cracking and the crumbling of the branches send a shock through the garden. Root systems talk to root systems. As more and more trees, forcefully propped up, begin to give themselves over to the ground. And that trio makes its way past the security gate, having made a run for it from the rocked openness of the quaking trees. The gate has shaken itself open with relief, and the three are running and slithering, leaving bits of fruit along the way, like a little crumbling trail, a possibility for all who might dare follow them. Now, the sound of the breaking branches alerts God, who has been wondering about their day propping up old tree branches. And needless to say, when God realizes what has happened, God is quick to anger. I mean, have you ever tried so hard to protect something so important to you by requiring that everyone else do exactly what you think they should do? And then how do you feel when inevitably they don't? But God is running and panting and fumbling and spitting and hissing and crying, and God's following the trail of fruit. And God stops at the gate with the angels and sees those three beloved figures just disappearing out onto the horizon. And God says, "Screw them! I will curse them. They will be wounded, displaced, exiled, all their genders and their abilities and their beings and their lovers and their ages, all of them unworthy. They're so ungrateful. Don't they know it was perfect? They shall be separate and alone, and they will hear these words and they'll believe it. And they will spend their whole lives believing it." And God, in God's grief, throws themselves to the ground, watching the shadows on the horizon. But God's face and hands finally and fully are in the dirt. And anger is grief, and grief turns to questioning, what should I do? God pleads with themselves. So God is finally there, like snake, belly to the ground. And the ground answers back, "You know what to do." And from the ground, God sees one tiny piece of fruit left behind. And with childlike precision and trembling hands, God reaches for it. We'll pause our dream here. I think this moment is precious and it matters because it could be easy to see ourselves only as the Eves and Adams and snakes of the world. How often, even in Unitarian Universalist spaces, we introduce ourselves with the story of our spiritual exile, the places we had to leave behind to come to where we are now, or our innocence or our righteousness, the story of how someone else or something else was wrong and bad, and we had to leave to make it better. And I know this is an important strategy. As a divorced woman, I am grateful for the capacity to leave a situation. And the capacity to, at some level, exit a situation like that is ultimately important and it serves us. It's helped us survive times in our lives when domination or abuse or dehumanization would surely kill us if it could. And it has fueled most of our liberal Genesis stories, movements and leaders that exited the situation and tried to dream and conjure up something else. Yet this strategy in other hands and shapes has also fueled some of the greatest harm. It substantiates settler colonialism because I can leave my place and I can take yours. It substantiates mass incarceration because I can send you, away. It fills our veins with microplastics and our neighborhoods and waterways with toxins because I can use something and then I can kind of make it go away and I can make anything I do not want or like or find useless or uncomfortable or gross to me disappear. There's an away. There's an outside the garden gate that I can send something to. It also allows me to self-righteously give you this sermon on a laptop, mined by someone else's child's hands. It allows my tax dollars that I diligently paid this year to fund ICE raids. It will fuel the tank. It'll fuel Elon Musk's tank whenever he decides to go wherever the hell he's going to go when the end of the world is near. So, but if exit stage left is the strategy that we spend most of our individual lives practicing, it risks becoming our only collective skill. And then we can satisfy ourselves or maybe cope for ourselves with a idea that there's some conclusion, there's some other place, there's some other person, there's some other religion or solution or planet or government that will be newly innocent, newly begun again, progressing. We can either make the current one like the old one, just rebuild the garden as it was, rescaffold the trees, tend the borders the way we liked it when I liked it, not the way you like it, the way I like it. Or I'm going to go somewhere else and I'm going to start a new one. So I think it matters what our characters do here for us as ethical, spiritual community members. It matters how God and the people in relationship to God handle themselves. And I first wrote this version of this dream when I was in my early 20s, maybe 21 or 22. I was displaced from my lifelong Unitarian Universalist roots. I'd become very disenchanted with our garden. I grew up in UU community. I wanted to be a minister, but by young adulthood, I had a developmentally appropriate disenchantment. And it was also structurally supported, like a story, kind of with an inevitable ending, because Unitarian Universalism, this garden of my childhood, didn't always feel relevant in the world I was facing as a millennial. I am a millennial among you, a millennial young adult facing kind of a world on fire. So my young adult narrator was very content with the jailbreak and that regretful God. And in that version of that story, God eats the fruit, picks their butt up, dusts their naked self off, and follows the shadows of Eve and Adam and snake into the world. Why? Because God needed a change of perspective, some humility, and some goddamn self-responsibility. And surely Eve would come up with something better, something not as terrible as all of that. So it was my young adult response to the conundrum of God in Eden. What do you do in the face of the thing that you think your parents and elders failed at? Duh, you just leave it. You go build something better. But now I'm here with you, past the tipping point precipice of a broken world with nowhere else to go. There's nowhere else to go. And I'm not satisfied. I'm not satisfied with the story I came up with at 21. I feel a little bit like Eve and Adam and Snake, and we only just made it out of one of those fancy escape rooms. Do you all know those escape rooms? It's these game rooms where you can try to figure out puzzles. And then you get 60 minutes to figure out a puzzle, and you and your friends pay to go in and do all the puzzles. And then at the very end, you get a free bumper sticker that says, "We escaped," before you get back into your car. And you feel the existential dread of all that you can't actually escape in a world that is hell-bent on destroying itself. And all that money that I just paid for that fancy escape room in San Francisco just funded some tech bros retirement, right? So it's an existential conundrum. If there's nowhere for us to go, we need to figure out what the hell we're going to do with a crumbling Eden. And I think about this in the context of UU organizations and institutions. I'm a conflict consultant who meets with UU groups when they're mostly at their most vulnerable, most uncertain, most feeling of falling apart. And I know that our UU organizations need reimagining, that there's something that we can't go back to, that in each of our congregations, even there's a memory of a way we used to be when we were really great. And maybe that was the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 90s, or the early 2000s, but we can't quite get back there again. And we're not quite certain where we need to go. So, what are we supposed to do with a crumbling Eden? And this is also true of our larger institutions, the ones that I think we're seeing crumble with a great heartbreak. Public education, healthcare, environmental protections, legal protections, all the while global capital makes a break for it, charging ahead without care. And my husband and I have a 5-year-old that we've sent to a public school in Oakland Unified School District, where the school district operates at a $4 million deficit monthly. Monthly. So I'm grieving the crumbling of our public institutions. I keep my child in public school because I believe in sustaining the common good. And in particular, in Northern California and Oakland, I believe in integration. But I also don't fool myself with the belief that there's a version of our public education system that ever fully satisfied the deepest sacred longing of every child. And I say that as the daughter of public educators. So we live in these gardens that were built and planted and imagined by other people in other times based on what they thought could nourish and sustain and meet life as they knew it then. In the face of what they knew then, by the people who were in power then. And they were born of the power structures and beliefs that we know don't always serve the fullness of our interdependence. So the only hope I feel when I sit in these crumbling gardens of our institutions, and I say this on the heels of all the No Kings March that just happened yesterday. I was there with some clergy in Santa Cruz. So we were sitting collectively, there were 10,000 of us in the crumbling gardens of domination. And the hope I have in the garden of domination is that there's always a couple of old trees. There's a couple of trees that know better. Trees know shit must change. Trees know it. There's a decolonial educator who's inspired me and Reverend Kristen, so you may have heard of her, Vanessa de Mercado Oliveira. She's part of a community called the Gesturing Towards Decolonial Futures Collective. The Gesturing Towards Decolonial Futures Collective. It's a community of Indigenous artists and educators. And in the way they talk about the crumbling of our institutions, they ask us not to just prop up the old, picture God with the scaffolds. It cannot, maybe nor should it, be saved exactly as it was. But nor do they imagine some free space utopia, be it Canada or otherwise, where we create something new, as if the new thing we create won't be shaped by the thing we just came from. They ask us then to practice a metabolic capacity. A metabolic practice, composting, is the capacity to simultaneously assist something in its dying or hospicing, and to assist something in its birthing, its midwifing, simultaneously. All while you resist the urge to suffocate the future with your projections of what you would like it to be, born of the grief from our past experiences. What's composting? And in that Indigenous collective's work, Vanessa gives one particular example of the ivory tower of the university as one institutional space for us to apply the dream to. And in this crumbling institution, our traditional notion of the university is of the ivory tower. And sometimes at its worst, It's a detached from reality space where our best and our brightest describe what is and prescribe what should be. I know I have done it, but that model, like that model of public education that I'm still deeply invested in, is also rooted in something that wasn't all the way in alignment with our values either. There's power systems there in the root of them that are colonial, that are friends with a industrial capitalism, that are patriarchal, that don't imagine the fullness of a multi-generational community. That I think if we as Unitarian Universalists got in a room together and said, what do humans need to know and how do they need to learn it? I don't know if we would come up exactly with our public education system. I don't know what we would come up with. So, in a university context, she says a more appropriate metaphor for today's university is actually the Leaning Tower of Pisa, not the Ivory Tower, because it's an institution like others that is kind of precariously tilting amidst the swamp of its unprecedented challenges. And those challenges, the swamp, oh my God, we're in the swamp. They're familiar. Financial uncertainties, affordability crises, complexities of diversity, equity, inclusion, decolonization, intergenerational dissonance, how difficult it is to feel like each of us generationally are like talking to each other and actually feeling like we heard each other or understood each other's needs. In the midst of ecological destabilization, our confused ambivalence about emerging artificial technologies, our mental health, our polarization, our lack of capacity to coordinate. I mean, God, frankly, it is the curse of God's separateness made real on us, these unprecedented challenges. And most of our institutions are facing them. I think I could have said that about UU congregations. These are some of the things crumbling around us. So Vanessa in the collective says it's not a question of if these towers will fall. It's a question of how. And a hard fall, she suggests, either hard because we were holding on to it the whole way down, or hard fall because someone came in with a sledgehammer, or we could say an administration came in with a sledgehammer. Either one of those ways would shatter what remains, leaving little chance for regeneration. But she writes, if the fall is softened with our willingness to adapt, collaborate, compost what feels obsolete, there's some potential. In the softer fall, we might imagine the ivory tower becoming a tree, like a nurse log settling into the earth. A nurse log is intimately connected to the ground of reality, and it gets embraced by moss and mycelium and mushrooms. And then that crumbling institution serves as a fertile foundation for the redistribution of our resources, our nurturing of our creativity, our fostering of a regenerative possibility. So here, the fall is not an ending, it's midwifed into a beginning that invites us to stop clinging and choose nurturance, choose nurturing. So, what if our religious communities were the places where we learned how to move like a nurse log? And I know that'll come easy to parts of us or some of us and scary to others. And I think like Adam, even this is true for me, I don't have to understand every part of it. I don't have to feel certain about all of it to say yes. And so here the spiritual capacities of our time is our willingness to move without as much control. It's our kind of saying yes to the next move without the guaranteed outcome. It's literally the spiritual practice of humility, born of our ability to die and be reborn together. So I pick up our dream here to close. When we left, God was face in the dirt with fruit on their tongue. And perhaps from that vantage point, Eden is not a perfect place to return to or rebuild once the new administration comes, or once all the children come back, or once the church is big again, or after we save public education. Maybe it's not about returning to or refurbishing, nor is it a place to condemn and judge and snob our noses at and destroy, but it's a place to compost. It's a log we bring back to earth. And God takes a bite of fruit. And in my restorative justice fantasy, God kindly requests an angel to go tell Adam, Eve, and Snake that they are open to any repair work that they would need to do whenever Eve and Adam and Snake are ready for repair. And God dusts themselves off, and God leaves the gates open and lets those concrete walls crumble, and God sits with elder trees and their broken branches and heartwood on the ground and their crumbling leaves, and God observes. God lets something die and lets something be out of their control, and God sits with their own uncertainty and messiness and practices what trees teach them. God lets something be born that isn't theirs and is beyond what they could have ever imagined, and maybe isn't even really what they wanted. But God and garden metabolize themselves. And I dream and I pray that God releases themselves from the curse of their separateness and domination beyond our notions of good and evil. Perhaps God will be compost. May it be so. I want to invite us into a time of prayer and silence. And however you are, wherever you are online or in person, to actually let your body rest and let your body rest in the way that it likes to rest. And to notice actually where your body meets chair and where your body meets ground. And imagining all the different grounds that we find our feet on beneath the floors here in Oakland of my home, or beneath the floor where you all sit together in your own homes. The layers and layers and layers of earth, both human bones and animal bones, plants fossilized, tectonic plates shifting, that deep taproot that trees know, that the very nature of our earth is change. And maybe by feeling your feet on earth, there is a memory of your belonging to it. And then all the way back up from feet to knees, all the way through a belly of breath to the tops of heads. The shared air that we know so well connects each of us to all of us in the most intimate and unexpected ways. Beyond that, into skies here where rain falls from water carried over oceans and snow falls on you all. the water particles picked right up out of oceans spinning, both with beauty and with waste, through skies carrying the molecules of every decision we make into this grand cosmos, the way we feel when we first see that satellite image, that great expanse of stardust that we come from, the miracle of it all. And perhaps feeling that spaciousness above you, that belonging to cosmos at your head and belonging to earth at your feet. Maybe it actually lets you sit a little bit longer. You get to feel a little more of who you are, take a little more up of your own space. And then to our sides, if you notice the way your shoulders feel, maybe even actually let your shoulders move back, make a little more room in the chest and the heart. Maybe you notice the people next to you. Some of you might be sitting and holding hands with a beloved or sharing a hymnal. All these people that you care for so much, all the snakes and Eves and Adams and lemon balms and lavenders of the space you share together. And then the people beyond you that make it possible that each of you are there, the people who care for you, who love you, those who are elder to you or younger to you, and then the people that you don't even know who care for you, the people who tend our food, our ways of being, make it possible for you to eat and be clothed, the cell phone in each of our pockets right now. The cell phone that is both this miracle, what a miracle. It is the electronic pulse fueled by the server farms, spinning the water to cool the servers that hold every photo of your grandchildren, all held on this little device that is actually the sacred earth in another form, mined by other communities and families, this miracle, this maddening miracle that resists our good and evil paradigm right there in our pockets. The messy conundrum of this life on earth, the profound interdependence that we are with all beings. God's curse was all wrong. There's nothing separate about us. And maybe in feeling how wide we're connected, it actually lets each of us take up just a little more sacred space. And then our depth, the feeling of what's inside of us, all that water, food, all the organs, all the complicated organs and bone pains each of us feel in this weird thing of being a body. And yet behind us, if you can feel your way through your organs and bones to your back, you might notice the feeling of clothing on your back or your chair at your back. Behind each of us is a wide range of ancestors, your own grand beings, maybe the ones that were kinder, there's ones that are more troubling to each of us, but they're all there in this long lineage, and each of you is sitting there with hundreds of sacred years of survival at your backs, beyond even our wildest fathoming, beyond even us as, quote, human, bringing us right back into the great interdependence, the depth of time that we come from. All the way to the front of our chest, to the center of our hearts and lungs, all the people who are younger than each of us, all of those children and grandchildren we love so deeply, children I imagine that you look at with some hope and fear about what is their life going to be like. But even beyond them, the generations that come from them, the generation beyond that generation, hundreds and hundreds of years in the making, inheriting each garden. And there might be some sweet way you might imagine some future child somehow connected to you in some way, looking back on this moment in our time. And I like to imagine them with the kind of curiosity and compassion that I imagine my oldest elder, that both my oldest elder and my youngest ancestor, that together we hold this grand conundrum of how to be alive on this planet, that we hold it with kindness, compassion, and accountability for one another. And from that place, maybe there's a way your length, your width, and your depth reminds you of your dignity. And may this be a prayer for each of us to move with this kind of dignity on the earth. And with this, I'll hold some time of silence until our dear Marilyn brings us into our next ritual.
Our hopes, memories, and gratitude for this beautiful, complicated world and for our lives. And as we drop a stone in our sacred gathered waters, may it be an opportunity to imagine our burdens and quests for forgiveness being held sacred in loving community. Please come forward. grateful to be in a community where we can share our resources to live out our vision in the world. Our offering each Sunday is a testament to the value of this community and our lived values. We'll now receive the offering. Need some volunteers? Please rise and body your voice and facing the center aisle, sing together the offering song printed in your order of service. Thank you for sharing. This offering helps the church in our efforts to improve the world in big ways and small. Does anybody have any announcements they want? Karen?
Good morning. Quick question. How many folks have received their ballots? How many of them turned them in already? A few. Okay, great. If you have not yet, I have cards here for the League of Women Voters Vote 411. And what that allows you to do is to research the candidates wherever you live. And so you just put your address in, it pops up with the races where you live, and then you can check off the races and then look at all the candidates from questionnaires that the league has sent them. So it's not just what they want you to know. These are answers to pertinent questions in your community. So I have that. Second thing is First Presbyterian Church and the ACLU are jointly holding a training on see what the date here is, pardon me, on the 1st. So this would be next Saturday at 2:00 right here in Geneva Hall. And what they're going to go over, it's friends and allies to meet others who are taking action to advocate and assist friends and neighbors who are immigrants. So you'll learn to help someone and their family prepare for possible detainment or deportation and learn about their constitutional rights. And so I'm excited about this. I think this is an important thing for our congregation to be involved in. And the third thing is we will be co-hosting with our Girl Scout Troop 17 a trunk or treat booth out here in the parking lot at First Presbyterian's Trunk or Treat on Halloween from 4:30 to 6:30. Thank you so much to Bill and Debbie Hackett and their granddaughter Delilah, who will be, along with John Hines, setting up the booth and decorating it. And then our Girl Scouts will be coming. I'm working the polls that day, so I can't get here till 4:00. But our Girl Scouts will be coming to help hand out candy and participate. So if anybody else wants to come and help, it's going to be a lot of fun. Did you have a question? Well, we're kind of hoping under the age of 12 or so. So, but to help any age. Thank you very much.
No, please.
All right. All right. There's an event, Tamales Made with Love. The price is $25 per dozen. Order now the number for it is 801-888-6290. All right. All right.
The Frisbee here in Boyer, front air.
All right. And the second one says, please join us as we celebrate the Reformation with worship, the Wasatch and District Pipe Band, and the Kirkin O' the Tartans. So that sounds like bagpipes to me. All right. So. Well, you might enjoy it. Or maybe even if you're not Scottish, you might enjoy it. All right. And then, Bill, I think you have an announcement.
Well, as everybody knows, we're a small congregation, but in order to do what we want and need to do as a congregation, including hosting services on Sunday, a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, there are people who put forth their efforts, their time and energy in order to make this happen. There are few positions in the church structure that are really critical and quite demanding. One of those is the church treasurer. The church treasurer is kind of an unseen entity, not today, because we have our current treasurer, Debbie Hackett, my partner in life, and our former treasurer, Craig Stiles. So on behalf of the congregation, I made something for you, Craig, to express our gratitude for your years of service to this church. And on the bottom of it, it's inscribed, it says to Craig Stiles, with love and gratitude from UUCO. And it's signed by me, the maker. And it's a little box made from box elder burl.
Okay. As this service comes to an end, join me in saying the chalice extinguishing words in your order of service. Oh, you don't have an order of service. We'll say them together. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, nor the energy of action.
Okay, 348.
Yes, this is in the Green, Gray Hymnal, number 348, Guide My Feet.
While I run this race, guide my
Yeah.
Where am I?
You're right here.
Hymns here. I got hymns here. Get 'em while they're holy, fresh from God's brain to your mouth.
And now, please rise for our opening hymn, In the Garden of Eden by I. Ron Butterfly.
In the Garden of Eden, honey, don't you know that I love you? In the Garden of Eden, baby, don't you know that I'll always be true?
Hey, Marge, remember when we used to make out to this hymn? Wait a minute, this sounds like rock and or roll.